Hello, everybody, and welcome to this 20-minute Hatha yoga flow, which is designed to relax and release tight hips. We all suffer from tight hips from time to time, and often it's just because we sit far too long in our day, which sometimes can't be helped, but we can dedicate the next 20 minutes to releasing those tight hips. You don't need anything for this class. A mat makes things more comfortable. So if you have a mat and you're ready to get started, then let's go. We are going to spin ourselves round and start in a lying position on the mat. So finding a shape that feels comfortable for you. Maybe knees stay bent, maybe feet come to the edges of the mat and just allow the knees to fall inwards, or maybe you're happy with your legs out straight. So finding that shape where we can just land and arrive into the mat, and taking your gaze now up towards the ceiling, feeling the length through the back of the neck. And then if you feel comfortable to close the eyes down, just bring it close to those eyes now. We'll just take a few moments here to arrive into the session and bringing the focus inwards and just taking some time to notice any spaces in the body that feel maybe quite tight or tense today. And as we move through the class, make sure you keep those areas safe. Listen to the signals from your body. If anything starts hurting too much, then please come back to a shape that works better for you today. And now as we continue to deepen the body into the mat, let's take the mind to the breath. And just feel that breath gently moving in and out through the nose. And on the next inhale, take the breath a bit deeper and allow the tummy to rise. And then as you exhale, focus on the tummy falling back to the earth. Inhaling, the tummy rises. And exhaling, allowing that belly to drop down. And now let's bring a bend to the knees, ground the soles of the feet on the mat. Feet about hip width apart. If it's comfortable in the shoulders, bring the shoulders out to the arms out to shoulder height. And we're going to allow both of the knees to drop over to the right hand side as we inhale. And as we exhale, bringing them back up to the center. And then down to the left as we inhale. Exhale back up to the center. Inhaling down to the right. Maybe take the gaze in the opposite direction. And exhaling up. Inhaling down to the left. Maybe take the gaze in the opposite direction. And exhaling up. Lovely. Let's bring one foot up off the mat and then the other, bringing the knees in towards the chest and giving that back a gentle massage into the mat as you just gently rock from side to side. And then we're going to take one knee in each hand, pushing the knees away, out, round in towards the armpits, and continue the circle going. Bring some lovely circles into the hips, bring some gentle movement. The circles can be as big or as small as feels comfortable. Our hips are a ball and socket joint. So when you move them in this way, it releases synovial fluid. So this is just a lovely movement. Let's reverse the direction. A lovely movement which just lubricates and oils those hips. So if you've got niggly hips, this is a really good one to do each day, just to bring some lubricating fluids into that ball and socket joint. The next time your legs are back towards your chest, let's come to stillness. Now we're going to bring our knees, ankles and feet together and allow both knees to fall over to the right hand side. Maybe bringing the right hand on top of that left knee And if it's comfortable in the neck, you can bring your gaze down towards the left hand as the left arm stretches out at shoulder height. Let's bring those knees back up to center and maybe a little rock and reset, and then allow the knees to fall down. So the left hand side, left hand on top of right knee, gaze down towards the right if that's comfortable in the neck as the right arm stretches out at shoulder height. Just encouraging the right shoulder to stay on the floor as we twist our spine. Lovely, let's come back to the center and one last little rock, and then we're going to roll onto one side and gently bring ourselves up into a seated position and bringing the soles of the feet together here in our butterfly pose. Now you can bring the soles of the feet or your feet a little bit further away from the body. It makes it a touch easier. A bit more challenging is to bring the feet further in towards the body. And there's no rule here about where your hands and your arms go. So find a position that's comfy for you. Maybe hands stay on ankles, just encouraging that spine to be nice and straight. Maybe the hips do feel quite tight today and the hands coming behind and just bringing the body back slightly feels better. You can pop cushions underneath your knees just to give them a bit more support if you need, or maybe even holding on to the knees here. We're going to spend a few moments in our butterfly pose and maybe coming into a forward bend over towards those feet, trying to keep a length through the spine as we come into that forward fold. Lovely, let's walk the hands back up. Let's come up to seated. We're going to bring the left hand over towards the right thigh. Bring the right hand behind. Let's come into a seated twist. Just going to spend one moment here. And then let's unravel and unwind and come to the other side. So left hand behind, right hand onto opposite thigh and coming into that twist. Using the hand behind you to push you up nice and straight. Hand on the thigh to encourage the twist. Lovely, and let's unwind and come back to the front. Use the hands to gently bring the knees back in together. Just swing those legs around to one side and come onto all fours position on the mat. So meet me in tabletop position, and let's just do a check-in here that your hands are underneath the shoulders and your knees are underneath the hips. Spread the fingers nice and wide. Actively push the floor away. And as we breathe in, we're going to lift the tailbone and the gaze up to the ceiling. And then as you exhale, round and dome the spine, pushing the mid back up towards the sky. Inhaling and extending tailbone and crown of head upwards. Exhaling and reversing that curve. Let's go one more time. Inhaling and extending and exhaling, rounding and doming. You're welcome to stay with this cat-cow if that feels really good. Or you can join me just making some nice big circles with the body. So we're going to bring the right hip to the right heel, left hip to left heel, and then continue the circles round. Now these circles can be as big or as small as feels good. So you might be able to bring hips right back towards heels, or maybe you're keeping the circles a little bit smaller today. So this is all about doing what feels good. Let's go in the other direction. Let's bring in some more movement into those hips as we do some lovely big circles with the body. Lovely, let's come back to a neutral position and we're going to step the left foot in between the hands. Give it a little helping hand if it needs it. And you're welcome to stay with your hands on the floor. Your aim here is to lower your hips down towards the mat. If you want a bit more, you may be able to catch your balance and put both hands on that front thigh. Just check down that you can still see your toes over that front knee. If you can't, move that foot forwards a bit just to protect that knee. You may be able to lift your arms up over your head, and we aim to sink the hips down in our low lunge, and we should feel a stretch through the front of the back thigh, and we're really getting into the hip flexor here, which is such a good stretch, particularly if you're a person who spends lots of your day in a seated position. Let's sweep the arms round. We'll land both hands on the inside of that left foot and bring the left leg back to meet the right, and then we're going to go on to the other side. So stepping the right foot forwards, remembering hands can stay grounded if needed, sinking the hips down towards the mat. You can keep your hands down or bring the upper body up, just checking that you can still see those toes over that front knee, and maybe sweeping the hands up if that feels comfortable in the shoulders, and sinking those hips down just to your measure so that you can feel a lovely stretch through that hip flexor of the back leg. So into the left hip now. Such a good stretch. I do this in pretty much every yoga class because I think it's so important to have healthy hips, and this isn't an area that we stretch. I don't think we stretch enough. Let's float the hands down, land both hands on the inside of that right foot, sweep the right foot round to meet the left, bring the hands a touch forwards, and then gently, you're going to bring your upper body down so that you're laying on your tummy. Bring your elbows underneath your shoulders, and we're just going to hold in this Sphinx pose for a moment. And as you're here, just becoming aware of what the rest of the body is doing. So you should have some tension in your arms. Don't collapse down into the floor. So actively pushing the floor away, but try to bring some relaxation into the legs and into the bottom. I'm going to bring the left hand in front of the face, just so it gives us a bit of a helping hand with our balance. We're going to lift the right foot up towards the right bottom and sweep the right hand round to catch hold of that foot. So use your left hand maybe to push you up. And you're welcome to stay here, or it might be that you can move your elbow a bit further away on the mat. Maybe your head comes down towards the mat. So finding a position that works well for you. And while you're in this half bow pose, just trying to bring some relaxation into that bottom, into the legs, and see if you can encourage that right heel in towards the hip anymore, noticing where you feel that stretch. Just stretching through into that quad muscle, into the front thigh of the right leg. Marvelous. Let's release that foot back down, elbows back under shoulders. Let's come into Sphinx again to reset. The right hand's going to come into the middle of the mat. Left foot up towards your hips. Sweep the left arm round, catch hold of that left foot, and then just spend a moment here, just focusing on relaxing those muscles a bit. Relax the glutes, relax the legs. Maybe you can sink the chest a bit further down towards the mat. Maybe your forehead can rest down. And on those exhales, just see if you can release any more tension. One side might feel tighter than the other. We're going to spend one more moment here. And then let's release that left foot. Let's bring the hands underneath the shoulders, and we're going to push the bottom up and back, bringing 2 big toes together, knees nice and wide, bringing the hips back towards the heels, landing the forehead on the mat if that's comfortable. Stretching arms forwards in our child's pose. A lovely rested position. Let's bring hands next to face and lift the upper body up. And we're going to come round into a seated position. Let's tuck the right foot in towards the body, bringing a bend to that right knee. Going to bring the left foot out towards the side, just to your measure. It doesn't matter whereabouts that left leg goes. So to your measure, just bring it out to the side. You can always pop a cushion underneath that bent knee if that feels more comfortable. Let's breathe in and sweep the hands up. We're going to land the left hand behind that left leg and come into a lovely side stretch here. So try not to collapse that right shoulder forwards. You're going to roll the right shoulder back. You may not come down very far. You may be able to come down further. You may be able to reach your left hand all the way over onto the right foot. Depends how flexible you are. If you want a bit more, you can always reach the left hand towards the left foot. And just bring a gentle, just gently pulling on that left foot or that left big toe. Coming a bit deeper into that stretch. Lovely. Let's float the right hand up, bringing the upper body up. Let's use hands and arms to help. We're going to switch sides. So gently lifting the left leg up and bringing it round. Right leg comes out to the side, tucking the left leg in, maybe popping a cushion underneath that bent knee if that feels more comfortable. Let's sweep our arms up and out to the side. We're going to land the right hand behind the right leg and come into that side bend here. Remembering to roll the shoulder back. And maybe if we want a bit more, we can reach the the right hand down towards the right foot. This one feels quite intense. Our hips will be very happy with us though. Happy hips. Let's take one more moment here. If you've got hold of that right foot, let's release. Right hand goes on the floor. Let's float the left hand, arm back down, and with the help of our hands, we're going to bring those feet in together. Let's squiggle around. We're going to come to a lying position on the mat. So the safe way, bring yourself down to a lying position, knees into chest. And then let's bring the knees out towards the armpits, feet up towards the ceiling to change your grip so your hands are gripping behind your knees. Then we're going to come into happy baby pose. As you're here, just feel the length through the back of the neck. And if at any point your neck starts to crumple up and your gaze goes backwards, just bring your hands into a different position. So we start here. Maybe you bring your hands up towards your calves or your ankles. Maybe your first two fingers can hook round your big toe. Maybe it's more comfortable to take a hold on the sides, the outside of the feet. And there's an option to rock from side to side here. Trying maybe to keep head, neck, and the upper spine fairly stable on the mat and just rocking the hips. There can be a tendency if you start rocking the whole body to just topple over. So Keeping ourselves safe if we're choosing to rock. Oh, that feels so good. Lovely release for our lower spine here, as well as a stretch through into the hips. It's all connected. Sometimes stiff hips can be because of a tight lower back, or maybe tight leg muscles. So it's good to just have a lovely stretch all around that space. Wherever the hands are, let's release. Bring the feet back down to the mat, and you can keep your knees bent, or maybe you want to stretch your legs along the mat. So finding a shape, a position that feels comfortable for you as we end the session, and we'll bring another close to the eyes. And just taking a few moments here to check in to see how the body feels now, how the hips feel. Taking your mind back to your breath, and just becoming aware of that breath gently moving in and out through the nose. Feeling the tummy rise on the inhale and falling on the exhale. And on the next inhale, bring your arms up over your head, stretching back, creating as much space between fingers and toes as possible. And then sweeping the arms back forwards and down, bringing the knees in towards the chest. Little rock from side to side here. And then let's roll over onto one side. Bring ourselves up to seated. And finding a comfortable seated position. Let's sweep our arms out to the side, up above our head, palms meet, heart center. Namaste. Thank you for joining, and I hope your hips feel happier now.